not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live with the hardcore style. Fresh new kicks in the all-star glow. I'm up in the mix, this Paul, large pro. Straight out the gate with the fabulous track. And my devastating rhymes get the platinum plaque. For the underground world, every street and borough, even out of state.
On this episode of The Dirt, we are featuring a good friend of mine, my former neighbor, Joe Varacalli. Joe, how are you today, buddy?
I am doing great.
Awesome. Thanks for dropping on by. The Dirt, featuring people that are getting stuff done, doing things, getting their hands dirty. And Joe gets his hands dirty with coffee. It's not just Joe's only interest. I know him personally. But this episode is going to have some serious coffee talk. You can subscribe to Joe, by the way, on YouTube. Just go to YouTube. He's come up with a very creative name, Joe Varacalli, for his YouTube channel. And you'll find him. You get all kinds of cool coffee talk. He's building the subscribers. It's catching on, and he's doing all sorts of cool stuff with it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really, really great. I actually just looked at my channel today, and my view count was at 136,000, and I was like, wow, that's not nothing, I guess. It feels
1,400 subscribers.
It feels cool. Yeah.
1,400 subscribers and growing.
Oh yeah, we just hit 1,400, and it's going really well. It was really slow to start for a lot of people that do YouTube. Like that first 8 months is a struggle generally, especially if you're trying to like do really, I don't know, a very specific type of content. Sometimes it can explode. I don't want to tell people that it never happens. There are people that it happens with, but generally you're getting when it explodes, you're getting a following from somewhere else, especially in like very specific fields like mine.
Chewbacca moms, like those are the exploding internet. Like, the lady that put the Chewbacca mask on and the target. Otherwise, when you're like that first 8 months, I think a lot of people are expecting to hear like that first 8 hours or that first 8 days is a grind. But you're like 8 months. How long are you into your video work on YouTube?
I would say that I just crossed about a year. What happened, the whole reason I got into it is I posted a terrible video. I'm telling you, like, worst production quality ever. I literally told Kaylin, my wife, like, point this camera at me and I'm going to tell everyone why no one should buy this one espresso machine because it's terrible.
You were mad?
Getting good reviews.
Were you mad?
So bad.
Were you mad at so you were kind of giving like an online review because you were pissed?
Yeah, it was exactly that. I was upset because, and here is the thing, is that everybody, even on YouTube, that reviewed the machine all said it was like, oh, this is a really great machine, you're going to love it, blah, 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 blah. And then I get it, and I'm like, this is not it's just not good. It was way overhyped and priced for what you got. Yeah.
Now you got to be what I don't think that people recognize. Number one, it's a long game, right? I mean, it's not overnight. Number two, you got to be passionate about your topic because you've been talking about it for over a year now. So, like, if you don't like coffee, that's either going to come out in your work or you're just not going to feel like doing it.
Yeah, and there's times, I mean, I think with anybody that's doing like certain stuff, like there's definitely times where you're like, man, I just don't feel like doing my next video or, I just don't feel like recording. It's just like, it's sometimes, as much as it is fun to do, there are times where it does feel like, hey, I actually have to grind,
No pun intended. You know what though? That's why we shut down I shut down the DOYO Live marketing show because, like, I mean, a ton of people recognize it. 300 plus episodes, 3-4 years worth of work. But I was just like, I don't know, like I'm typecasting my own self into always kind of having that conversation, even with business owners reverting back to marketing. I just wanted to do something different. So like, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like doing it anymore, so I'm not doing it. And then I came up with The Dirt, which is just a much more like chill vibe, relaxed, like let's have some conversation stuff. So like, I Are you still roasting your own coffee beans?
Yeah, that was like part of it. That was an early on video I did, and I'm actually in the process of trying to start my own coffee business, like as far as actual coffee beans sent to people, and different tools and stuff like that as well.
Well, as you build that following, that is going to be a lot easier.
Yeah,
because you got
that
people to
was
talk to.
that was partially my goal because obviously I'm sort of an idea guy. I always talk about different ideas. I like it. I like talking about stuff. But when that video that I was talking about earlier I wouldn't call it necessarily viral, but it got like 20,000 views, like that. Like it was very fast. So in my world, I was like 20,000 views. Okay, maybe there's something here. Let me start
Yeah.
making more videos. So you come to find that that's not every video, that's for sure. You start to learn and everything like that. But yeah, thinking back, I wish I would have done more research, but at the same time, I'm also happy that I just did it.
You gotta just go for it. Now, the show's premise is that everything revolving around coffee, or are you just solely reviewing coffee pots?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I will say that I do mostly espresso machines. That's like always what I drank, at least since I was like probably 17, 18 years old. I've always had an espresso machine of some sorts. And yeah, I would say that that's my general thing is to review espresso machines, coffee, like actual coffee brands. But I do a lot of discussion. I do like modding machines too. So like we'll open them up, and we'll change a spring, like an overpressure spring or something like that. And this is getting nerdy, but there's a lot of aspects to it that you might. I would have never thought about doing when I first started the channel, honestly. But then, like, the more you get into it, you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of people that like to do this, and I know how to do this type of stuff. So it was fun to record and shoot stuff like that.
So, how do you fund getting all these espresso machines?
That's a
Aren't
good question, because
aren't they
this
expensive?
espresso machine over there, right
Yeah.
there, is like $3,000.
Oy
So
vey.
it is, yeah. It's funny because you find that it's odd. People like to watch videos about stuff that they're like never gonna purchase. Like it's almost like a Ferrari, right? They like to see the Ferrari, they like to look at the Ferrari and like hear about all of its specs, but they're never gonna own one. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what this machine is. It's not that I don't think that people should own it or don't think it's a good machine or something like that, but most people aren't gonna set out and spend $3,000 on an espresso machine.
Yeah, no doubt. So do you have to? That's obviously not the only machine. Like you're reviewing other machines. So
Yeah,
do
I have a
these
Gauge
companies?
Classic Pro upstairs, and there's a ton of there's as far as like to answer the question is how I fund it. So obviously I have a normal 9 to 5.
Okay,
So that's one way I fund it, obviously, and then the other way is I generally buy these machines and then sell them. So like after I'm done
okay,
reviewing them, I'll resell them, and most espresso machines hold their value a heck of a lot better than you'd think. Now, like if you
yeah,
go to Target and buy one of those like cheap, chintzy type things, that is probably not even going to resell for anything almost. But if you get some of the higher end espresso machines, ones that are like almost commercial grade or higher, people will pay top dollar. They hold their value for sure.
what's interesting is that so I don't put much into my coffee drinking habit. Um, like
As many
it's like pretty much like bottom of the barrel, but like it's survival. It's out of necessity. And I come
Folgers.
home. Yes, yes. But I did just recently splurge on some organic coffee beans from Sam's Club, which I don't know if I
The
was
coffee
splurging enough.
beans. No, you are, and that's actually not bad stuff. I actually just did a review of some stuff that Costco put out, and they did a whole 60 minutes interview with the Costco coffee buyer because apparently they're trying to like turn coffee into the next wine sort of thing, where like people
Well,
get into the higher end wines and stuff.
well, they're the biggest wine store in the world. Like they did a story on their wine buying a few years back, and
Years back, yeah,
it was really interesting. But anyway, I come home and there's a brand new Keurig coffee pot sitting on my counter. And my mother bought it for me for a birthday gift. That's not my birthday's not just happened yet. It'll be the end of this month. And so I immediately thought of you because you did a whole review on the mathematics and economics behind owning a Keurig long term versus
yeah.
a coffee pot. And I
I'm
started
glad
to
you
laugh.
saw that.
I know, like I watched that. Like I don't even know if like I was early on or what it was, but
It was really early on. Yeah.
I was like, this all makes all the math makes sense. Like everything that you're saying totally makes sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But apparently there's a little basket, like a little permanent filter basket.
Yeah,
that
you could buy it. Yeah, and then you
I can
grind
grind my
and put it in directly.
beans because I am sitting on 10 pounds of organic coffee beans and no coffee pot and a Keurig machine now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually one way you can do it that is that brings that price down a lot. Keurig doesn't particularly like when people do that, I'll
They do
say.
not want that to happen.
No, and most of those are like not supported by their brand or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're definitely out there, and I think that you're if you use one of those, my guess is the coffee that you're going to get out of that is going to taste a heck of a lot better than coffee that was ground and put into those pods like months, years, possibly ago.
I know, right? And then there's the other thing that I don't know if you covered this in that video or not, but the environmental factor. Like, there's a big issue with like, and it's so funny too because the buyer demographic of like somebody that's getting a Keurig is generally also that somebody that has a recycling bin at the end of their driveway.
Sure does. Yep.
But yet the two do not align at all.
No, yeah, they really don't. It's and I get it. I mean, I'm not downing people for I don't want to. I don't like to hate generally. So like,
You're a super nice guy. I'm not like.
Yeah. I don't. Everybody has their own like weird coffee habits and like what they like to do or habits in general. But like,
yeah,
a lot of people think this is $100. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to go to Sam's Club. I'm going to buy, a 500 pack of these things, and it's convenient. It is super, super convenient. And honestly, it doesn't, for, the untrained palate, like a lot of people just don't care that much. So
right.
I get it. And it makes them, if it makes them happy at the end of the day, like go ahead and do it. But realize, and I really want to realize that is more expensive. No matter, unless you do what you're doing where you grind it and put it in, it's definitely more expensive, and it is terrible for the environment.
Not on the product, not on the level. Now, we're for you commercially, outside of your own home and your own beans. What are some coffee brands or coffee shops that like you like?
Yeah, I mean, local. I always try to stress like buying local is always like generally a good find. I think his name's Matt in Youngstown. He owns what's the name
Branch
of it?
Street. Matt Campbell.
Branch Street. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, he
Josh
runs a really great
over at Stone Fruit. Yeah, Josh does a great job as well.
Yeah, they're both really good. I think that Matt, not to pick the winners and losers. I think Matt takes a little bit more time with his direct trade, with his bean, like finding the beans that he likes a lot. But they're definitely different demographics on like who would go to which coffee shop, I think. But yeah, I mean, no matter what, they're both leaps and bounds above buying, a bag of even Starbucks beans at the store. So that's one there. If you're an espresso enthusiast like myself and you're just starting out, or you're trying to get into espresso, I always tell people to buy Lavazza. Like this super creme is great. It's super cheap. You can get it for like $12 per 2 pounds. Maybe $14 for 2 pounds. Prices have been changing, going up a little bit. But not that expensive, and it's pretty tasty for what you're going to get. And it's a very forgiving espresso. If you really want to get good, like amazing coffee, like the last one I'll say is Stumptown. I think Stumptown, as far as like if you're at any grocery store in America, basically you can find this, and it's really good specialty coffee that's going to taste good a lot of time. I mean, 9 times out of 10, as long as you know how to brew coffee, it's going to come out good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stumptown's really
Hometown
great.
is Ohio's best coffee. That must be an ad. They're not out of Ohio, are they?
Stumptown? No, the Stumptown is out of they're out of Portland, Oregon, or
Nice.
Seattle, one of the two. I think it's Portland.
What drew you to coffee?
Well, I think my parents have, especially my mom, had always been into coffee. Even when I was like young, before like coffee was a a
Cool.
fad or a cool thing, she was always kind of into it. Would always buy whole beans. She would grind it fresh. She had a burr grinder before a lot of people, I think, like in the '90s, had a burr grinder. So yeah, it was, she took her time and really liked it. And then also my nana, it was not good, but she would always have a little espresso pot, the little mocha pot espresso thing. You probably know what I'm talking about. You're
Oh
Italian,
yeah,
so
we got one.
yeah, I mean, and that was like sort of it was a cool little thing, and I like gadgetry too. There's something about like the gadgets of it that really intrigued me.
Um, and you like, I mean, like how the experience over with friends and things like that is that of interest to you, or is it just purely like kind of on the pots and like the production side?
You're talking about like if I were to have like friends over, like making
It's
espressos
experience,
and
yeah, like let's go
oh
grab
yeah,
a cup of coffee. Let's go, you know.
I absolutely, what's hilarious is one thing, I love making lattes. I love like when people come over, I get to make a bunch of lattes for people, but I really don't like lattes myself. But the joy of like making one and like, pouring latte art and stuff like that, I actually really enjoy, but I just don't like the taste of them that much, which I
Interesting.
think is fun.
Um, best coffee shops that you've been to.
Well, now I live in Virginia, so I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and I'll say that one of the best one down here that I really really like is Roastology is really good. They have a really really cool shop. Um, there's a couple that I would recommend as far as like Youngstown area. Again, like Branch Street is amazing. Nova Coffee is really good in Warren.
Yeah, Nova's good too.
Yeah, I think Matt works with Nova if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, they're really good coffee. And if you're out in like the Akron area, there's a company. There's a turtle on the something tree. I can't
Nervous
remember it.
Dog is actually a good. Nervous Dog in Akron. There's a couple locations. Is a pretty
Oh
good
yeah,
coffee shop. Yeah. I've been there
never
before.
heard of them.
First time I ever had a pour over, I was in Chicago in a shop. And the funny thing is, like, I was running to a meeting, but I really needed coffee, and I was
Was
like,
it
"Oh,
Black Cat?
it was Intelligentsia."
Yeah, Intelligentsia. Yep.
And I go in, and I'm like, "I need a coffee," and like they're like, "Okay." And now 10 minutes goes by, and I'm still 15 minutes goes by. I'm still sitting down at the end of the bar, and I'm like,
What's going
I
on
don't mean
here?
to be rude here, but like what is taking so long? And I didn't realize what a coffee snob shop that it is. Like
Oh, that is
purists,
yeah,
like they're like, it's a pour over, and I'm like,
yeah.
what's a pour over? And then I was like, oh, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing cup of coffee, but I just need a cup of coffee to go. Like kind of, that was the New
That's
York.
when you ask for an Americano.
I like, yeah, like New York deli coffee is absolutely horrible. It's trash, but it like serves a purpose, and
Yeah,
so like that's what I
good
was.
stuff.
I didn't realize I was like in a coffee holy ground, if you will. But it was amazing too. It's probably been like one of the best cups of coffees that I've ever had.
Intelligentsia, I reviewed their espresso blend and one other of their
Look at
blends,
you.
and I love their coffee is very very good. I highly recommend them if you want to buy on Amazon they don't have it at all the grocery stores, but you could definitely get it on Amazon. It's really good.
Has any of these coffee manufacturers reached out to you at any time yet to start
Oh yeah,
saying, Joe, We want to give you. We want you to review. We want you to We want to sponsor you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've coffee companies in general, I've noticed, are way more open to sending stuff out to people than maybe some other industries. But like, if I reach out to a coffee company, maybe not Intelligentsia or one of these bigger brands, but if I reach out to like Nova or something like that, I'm like, hey, can you send me a bag of your beans? I'd love to review them on my coffee channel. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna send it, which is cool. As far as like machines and stuff like that go, that's when you start to get into a different territory. Like, getting a $3,000 machine sent to you is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
You have to kind of foster those relationships. But I have worked with a company, and actually one that I recommend to a lot of people, such as yourself, actually, which is Terra Cafe. Theirs is a super automatic. So like people that don't care about, like, they don't enjoy the process necessarily of making coffee. They just want to get coffee quick. I think the Terra Cafes or like any of those super automatic machines that I've reviewed are super great, and they work with me. I have a sort of a sponsorship deal with, like, if people click on the link, I get a certain amount of kickback and everything like that. But they have not only I wouldn't recommend a thing that I wouldn't like, and it's not that that's my favorite espresso machine or anything, but I think it really serves a good purpose for people that just don't want to waste time learning how to make espresso.
Yeah. No, that's cool and good for you, man. So down the road in the future, we could see Joe V coffee brand on our shelves.
Varacalli coffee coming soon. Hopefully, we're yeah.
I like it. The Varacalli Coffee Company.
Yeah, that's the idea. And then I'm gonna have my sort of branding, and you're kind of a branding expert, so let me know what you think. But I was gonna kind of name the different blends and stuff like that over, like, by people in my family. So like one of the blends will be like the Nana and Nanu blend or something like that.
Well, so it's funny when you say that. I like the fact that your YouTube channel is, and I was poking you a little bit, teasing you, but it's just your name. I was like being creatively, but no, I like that. So like, you have to think about the people that are in your family and their personalities. So like,
Yeah.
who's your, and I mean, I know your family, after being neighbors for 8 years, like who's the bold, who's the breakfast blend, who's the light
Oh
roast.
yeah. 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 Oh yeah. And
I-
that's kind of my thought of like having to do that. And I think it's fun. I hopefully no one in my family gets offended by what blend they become.
You know what though? I'm an aspiring stand-up comedian that I've never had the balls to take the stage. Like I would
Yeah.
love to go try stand-up.
Same. I think that'd be so much fun.
And that's the one that I don't want my family at, because basically it is just me basically making fun of my family for like 15 minutes of fame. Coffee,
Yeah, that's generally what it would be.
yeah, coffee I think is pretty yeah, it's not going to be too controversial. Coffee, I think that everybody will probably be okay with it, unless they like see themselves way differently.
Yeah, if they're like upset, you made me the breakfast blend. I'm bold.
Yeah, like, and I'm not even a breakfast person. I'm not a morning person.
I fast every day. I'm an intermittent faster.
Oh my god! Any other things going on besides coffee? So like, I know you got a big food interest as well, but
Yeah.
you're kind of stuck with coffee, right? Oh, we lost Joe. Joe Varacalli of the soon-to-be joke Varacalli Coffee Company. We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, you still there?
We lost you for a second.
Ooh, it sounds kind of weird. Hopefully, it comes back. Maybe we have to.
Are you there? Are you good? Check 1, 2.
Let me try resetting my audio. You still there?
I'm here. I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it's
You know what,
screwed
Joe?
up.
I was
Let
only
me
going
jump
to.
back in.
I was only going to.
Okay, still
Can
there?
you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yep, all good.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I know that you got to get going. Um, so we can.
That's all right.
I was just going to ask you, like, I was just asking about food.
Yeah, we could jump right back into it. You wanna let me know when you're ready, and we can.
That's fine. We'll edit. Um, so food wise, like you have, I know that you're really interested in. You obviously, you and I talk cooking a lot when you're around. Um,
Yeah.
and did you decide not to do anything with cooking, or did you at one time think, well, maybe I'll start making videos on cooking?
Yeah, so I never thought YouTube wise that I was gonna try to do the cooking thing. At least not after coffee started. I did originally actually before COVID hit, like really right before COVID hit. I was working with a buddy to actually start kind of start a restaurant. Actually, we were hoping to get the ball rolling on a restaurant. But COVID hit, and I was like, "This is a bad idea. We got to get, we got to pivot." So I kind of gave up on that. Plus, I had to move to Richmond, so like that, wasn't an option at that point anymore. But yeah, I will say the downside with YouTube and like, I have my name on it. It's not Joe's Coffee Bar or something like that. It's just my name. But in a way, hopefully, maybe one day I'll have the freedom to sort of move to different topics. It's you know I like other topics. I would love to do other things like tech. I've done a couple of like tech sort of things that coincide with coffee. Um, like installing these smart lights under here. I did that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I'd like to do. I try to stay on point just because if you're off point a lot, your content you start to lose interest from your followers is what I've noticed.
Oh yeah. Like being narrow is a good thing, especially starting out.
Yeah.
Um, like being narrow is is a good thing. That's why we talked marketing for like 4 years on the internet, and then now if you look around, like you see like 5, 6, 7 live podcasts in Youngstown, Ohio, um, and like we preached it for 5 years leading into that, and so now that's kind of like so. I got to the point where I'm like, if I could be a poor man's Joe Rogan, like I'm completely comfortable with that, and
Yeah.
I don't
The
really give a
poor
shit.
man's
Like
Joe
I'm
Rogan.
not worried about. I'm worried about. I want to treat my audience obviously with respect, and I'm very appreciative of people that hop on and they listen. But at the same note, like the, I'm very not concerned about numbers. Like at this point, like not saying that I don't love marketing. Like it's obviously been in
Yeah.
business development, but like I'm really more focused on like just like entrepreneurialism, people that are doing interesting things like yourself, and I really don't care. Like at this point, like I'm doing what I'm really really interested in, and just having like conversations. Like if you were like home right now, this is the same almost the same type of conversation that we would just be hanging out talking about
Yeah.
coffee and move to this and move to that, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But you gotta stay narrow. Like if you're gonna build an audience, they're gonna start. They're like those 1,200 people expect. It's like when you go see the Stones. everybody wants to hear satisfaction. It was in the movie with Dustin Hoffman in the Chef movie. Like they expect, like when people come in to see you right now, they're expecting you to talk about coffee and drilling down into espresso and into machines. That's what they want from you.
Yeah, and if you go and you do, it's interesting because if you go and do something else, more than likely it's not going to get hits. Now, for me, if you've kind of learned the algorithm a little bit and you've figured out what people are searching for, you can occasionally throw a pointed video in a totally different direction and it'll explode, which I've done a couple of, not a lot. Like I did a TV, like super dumb, but like I did a TV stand installation, like showing how to like install something. But it was, here's how I knew that this was going to blow up. And I begrudgingly made it because one, I was annoyed that the video didn't exist. And two, I knew it was going to blow up because it was the number one stand on Amazon, the number one sold TV stand on Amazon. And it was different. It was different than other TV stands to install. So I knew that someone was looking for these videos. And of course I put it out, and that video is my third highest rated video I've ever made with 16,000 views.
You know, it's funny. Like I'll do an interview, I'll make a video, I'll be like, "This is amazing content. People are gonna really," and it goes nowhere. And then I have other TikTok. It's interesting. TikTok and Instagram Reels. How the
Reels
difference is between those two platforms, and what you'll get. Like I have a video on TikTok right now that I hit a home run into your dad's driveway. Mateo was pitching with a tennis ball and a wiffle ball bat. And I bat flipped it. I shot it and then I bat flipped it. I got 500,000 views on TikTok. I got no views of that really on Instagram. Over the weekend, I made a stupid video of Michael and the dog mountain biking in the woods, put it in slow motion, and it got 4,000 views on Reels, and TikTok it has like 5 views. So like, it's really weird. Now, are you only on YouTube, or are you utilizing some of the other platforms to push people to YouTube?
So I have Instagram, and it's I have a Facebook too, and I did start sending Facebook stuff out. That's maybe how you found that one video out. But I've noticed that Facebook and Instagram, for that matter, well, Instagram's a little bit different, but Facebook definitely does not like it when you send somebody to YouTube. They hate it. They will make sure nobody sees that. So I've kind of stopped using Facebook. I use Instagram, and I do a lot of Reels. Reels are really good for my content. I have tried to do TikTok, and it just never really caught on to me. It was always kind of confusing to navigate. But Reels works out really well for what I do. I have one reel that has 54,000 views on there, and it's, again, it was one of those things I was like, oh, I'm just going to record this. It's going to be garbage. And for some reason, the algorithm gods decided this is the video everyone needs to see. So, be it what it may, that kickoff, launched that. And I think, I've been able to, I actually have more followers on Instagram now than I have on YouTube. But what's nice is a lot of times if I post something on my bio or whatever, I get a lot of people that will jump to YouTube to view that type of stuff. Yeah,
that's what I plan to do with this podcast. So it'll be like 1 minute sound bites to Instagram and 5 second, 15-second clips and stories, and telling everybody to go to listen to the full interview. But the fact is, long form content works. There is an audience for it, but we've become such a soundbite nation that it's imperative to break it up into those formats people can digest it.
Every channel has a clips channel.
Every channel has a clips channel. That is exactly right. Well, listen, everybody. Get your coffee talk on with Joe Varacalli on YouTube. Go over there and subscribe there. You'd find him out there. Is it on Instagram at?
Yeah, it's just at Joe Varacalli, I think 92_92.
Get it? Go listen to it. You want some good advice on espresso, coffee beans, machines. Joe's your guy. Connect with him. Joe, I appreciate you being on, and when you get home, whenever that is, make sure that you stop on by. Look forward to seeing you, buddy.
I definitely will, man. I appreciate it. I'll see you later.
Be well.